Screen. And good evening, folks. Welcome to episode 23, Marshall Mayer. And tonight, no guests, but we're just going to talk about whatever. If you're watching and you have a question or something like you would like to wonder about that's martially relevant, please let us know. We will answer it. So, how are you? How's it going? I should. I know. It's like I was thinking about. Well, should I ask him how's it going? Or should,
It's more like what happened now.
oh God.
Yeah, it's been a while, and I think just hopping on to let people know that we're still alive is a good thing.
Yeah,
Um,
I think so.
and yeah, we took a 3 week break.
Well, no, only two actually. And last week I just ran FMA discussion, so really
Okay,
we were only, I believe, yeah. So it wasn't that bad, but yeah, I just figured we'll talk about martially related, relevant topics. One thing I like to discuss is how organizations, like I look at a few organizations how they run, and they don't, and not just FMA centric, like and how not only how well they're run, but how do the reps conduct themselves on social media? And to me, like that says a lot about the organization. If there's checks and balances, accountability, and like you see it, like if you get involved with something and you look on the other side, you kind of see those deficits in there because you basically see how these people
see
are
how these people are.
acting, and you're just wondering, well, hey, is anybody overseeing this? Like, for instance, the two examples I want to cite that I'm directly involved in: Burton under JKDU,
Hmm.
Tom Sosa Monk. We're not allowed to talk about others publicly online. We're not allowed just to do that. But it really makes for a clean organization. Like we're held accountable. So they don't. So the organization doesn't look bad, and I like that, to be honest with you. And I kind of take the same aspect of that. But you can see organizations where maybe that's not really the most important thing.
I think ethics are definitely missing in today's martial arts world. And again, I'm saying this as a jaded martial artist and also someone who has a concussion. But also, what I'm kind of tired of is the clickbait and all the that bullshit. Like enough's enough with it, right? When someone starts off by saying this is what's going to work every single time, or this is how you can really hurt somebody if they try this, and let's use Burton as an example. I've never heard him say that, but there's a guy who's sparring with guys, uh, and like moving fast, moving around, just talking about theories and application, and then he shows you how you apply it with a person who's non-compliant. And that to me is a very big thing. Again, because of the person I am, I don't mind talking about people as long as it's true and that I can back up what I say without and letting people know this is my own personal opinion. Like there's plenty of people I don't like out there. It's not a secret. But I kind of have my reasons for it, and I have no problems saying it to their face. That's another thing too, right? Um, Sometimes I walk, and I try not to anymore. But while I was healing up, like I've been watching all these videos of people going back and forth, and it's just like it's a joke.
Yeah, but you know what's funny? The dynamic I notice what you're referencing, they're not really under anybody. Like right at the worst end of it, like what you're talking about and what I'm talking about, like they're either flying solo or they're the head of the organization. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? I do see some reps under certain organizations that like, that's a little odd that you. So obviously, can't be much accountability, or maybe it is being on the back end they're being spoken to. But when you constantly see it from the same people, obviously there's no accountability. But I will say though, I do see the cosplay and all that more from. separate. I mean, they're kind of on their own. They got their own thing going on, or they're just flying solo. You know.
Yeah, I think a lot of these people are going to have a short-lived career in martial arts. So
Mm.
I think they're trying to do whatever they can to, like
That
rake it all
moment,
in,
you know.
right? And like even a guy like Eric Knaus, Top Dog. He doesn't talk shit about people. He might look at something and say, "I want to see that applied," or "Can you show me how you would apply that?" But he is a see what you get kind of person. He never says,
Yeah.
"This is the magic elixir pill that you take and they'll make you beat everybody." It's like these are the steps you can do to get in, um, but you need to work on it, right? Or
You know what a great example he is. Like you said, like here's a guy whose accolades and just known for his ability, and yet if you look at how he conducts himself, you know what I mean? Like there's an example to like follow, emulate. You know?
yeah, I've never seen him react to anything. Let me rephrase that. The only time I ever saw him like kind of stop and say something was when he turned to somebody once when I was in the room with him, and he turned to that person and said, "That's not true," and that was it, right?
They're like,
And if you speak to him or hear him speak, when someone goes from being the happy-go-lucky to like that's not true,
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I
that's
mean,
not true.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, obviously Burton speaks very highly of him and all that. But I just, there's, but again, I can't. Perfect example of like who you can, how to conduct yourself. Now, granted, I don't think he's on social media, although I guess he does post about his group down there in Texas, right?
Mhm. He
Um,
does, and but at no point does he sit there and say we're the best or this is how I win fights and this is how I do this. He shows you, and if you don't believe him, he can make you feel it so you can understand it. Um, you know, what bothers me as well is when I hear people talking about their rep, like you telling me how tough you are makes any kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Gives you instant cred, right?
mm,
It's like, oh, when I was a mall cop, I threw a guy down the stairs and then I jumped on his legs to break him. It's like, it's like, who cares, right? Uh, and but I'm by no means saying that I'm some sort of tough guy or anything else. But I let my friends speak for me.
yeah, I find, and again, not 100% across the board. Generalization just from the years, and I'm going to get back to Maynard's question here. Like, I find those who really, whether they're embellishing or not, but they're making it very well known about their past and what they've done and this and that. And I've seen true violence. To me, it's a facade. It's like they're covering up. Like there's a deficit somewhere there. You,
Yep,
you know what I mean? Whether it's a physical ability deficit because you're no longer that person, or you can't, maybe because of injuries, whatever. But there's an absolute deficit, like it. I just see in there.
it reminds me when I used to work in nightclubs and bars. Is the mouthy ones are the ones who are just like they're just trying to look at me, look at my attention,
Yeah.
and then the people who are for real, they're just quiet. Like I think I mentioned that story about that one time when I had a bunch of mouthy kids inside a bar, and that Russian dude who was like walking out behind them, and I stopped him, and I was talking to him, saying, "I remember when you were 20, sort of thing," and you laughed, and he slapped me on the shoulder and brought me in for a hug, and I put my hand on his pistol, um,
Yeah.
which is illegal to carry in Canada.
Which by the way,
Yeah, and that was but he at no point was he like never raised his voice. It was just like smoking his hand rolled cigarette, just like looking and like not even. It wasn't even a smile. It was just one of those like I've had harder bowel movements than you,
that's what
and
I mean. Like it's just like the ones like dare I say, there's a healthy level of confidence, not over, but a healthy level of ego and confidence. Because I believe there's a healthy ego that you should have a
yep,
healthy ego and confidence level in there. And you can see guys like that because they don't need to show. But I tell you, I see enough of man's got, like some of these guys will chime in, and it's just like, what are you covering up for, man? Like, what are you trying to cover up for? You know what I mean? What's going on here? Maynard's got a question. I just want to make sure I'm isn't working on something a given. I'm sorry, Maynard, if you could just expand on that, and then be more than happy to answer it. Um, but we
Yeah,
got
it's like there's been a few times on different podcasts where people start talking about how there used to be a pit fighter and stuff like that. And as soon as I hear that, I just like okay, I'm out. I'm checking out.
that's what I mean. It's hard, you know what I mean. Like it's hard to like as we get older and we get more in the game and more things that it's really becomes more and more difficult to listen to it. It really,
Well, I think as we get older and the more we train, I think we just get more filters, right? And we filter the information that's given down. Because
that's
right now, like, um, if I told my son I used to be an astronaut, he'd be like, "Oh my god, my dad was an astronaut." My 7-year old is gonna be like, "Yeah, for sure, I can see my dad being an astronaut."
yeah.
But as he's gonna get older, and I say that to him, he's like, "Yeah, Dad, you're an astronaut." Sure, you were.
Yeah, it's true about the martial maturity filters, the journey experience, right? And then
the the more you allow yourself to question the people that are talking to you, I think the better it is.
yeah,
Uh, and I have no problem, like again, listen, I have 1,000 stories,
yeah,
and I have no problems with people questioning it because, uh, for the most part, I don't have a problem telling them what happened or where it happened, right?
mm.
But
That's
sometimes you hear some of these people talking. It's like, oh, this is the way you dislocate a guy's jaw, and if you're gonna get extra mean, you poke him in the eyes. It's like, why are you so interested in going to jail?
you know what I mean? Like Francisco. It's so funny. I was in Missouri last weekend working with these couple of guys,
Mhm.
and they brought some food for me. They say, "Can we mind if we bring?" Them? I'm like, "Yeah, bring them over." But and I didn't say this to them because I didn't want to ruin the mood. I didn't want to automatically put something in there that might not happen, kind of already say a negative tone. But I'm like, okay, but I'm thinking the night before, like, I guarantee you, there's going to be one of them that's going to have to insert himself in what he does, and this and that. And sure enough, there were a couple guys. They were kind of watching, open minded. One ex old bog, like there, really tough guy was like, "Hey, I like your present." Like there, but there was one there. He just had to insert himself, like stories and this and that, completely out of context for what I was talking about, like that. And for the sake of everybody, I kind of just nodded yes and that. But I'm just thinking, like, God Almighty, get him out of here.
Yeah, but
Just
Dean, you and I have been to seminars where other instructors show up and they do the direct opposite of what you're showing, and then they have the balls to stop and teach the people around them what they want to teach.
yeah, it's like
And
they just
that's
can't surrender. Like they
and
flavor
that's
them, they just can't surrender. You know what I mean?
and that to me shows volumes of the person that they are, right? It's either they are insecure about their skill set, or they just can't do it, and again, if you can't do it, that's fine. Listen, like, uh the last BJJ class I went to, and they're doing squat jumps. I was almost done by the warm up,
Oh my God, I get my yeah. Oh, that would
and I
be
even told the dude, I was like, I'm taking a break, man. He's like,
yeah,
you can't. I go, well, if you want me to stay, I need a break.
yeah. That's freaking. I'm sorry, Maynard. Okay, that makes sense, Maynard. Okay. Um, we got here. Brian nailed it. This is a good guy here. He nailed it. Pure insecurity and empty your cup at 100. Right? Jeez, like how about just going there, sitting back, yeah, and like just listening to whoever the presenter is, and maybe at the end, it's not for anybody. Go up to the person. Hey, I just had a question on this. Can you maybe like walk me through this? Maybe I misunderstood. But like this guy, he like last weekend. I don't know if I would do that, but I would come here and poke him tonight. Now I was going over Soul Machine, and I'm thinking like I'm listening to him just let him get his piece out. And I'm thinking like, okay, so you're not going to deal with the threat. you're going to try to take opportunity while these things getting plunging you, and you're going to, what I mean? Like I was trying to explain to him, like before, during, after, up, during, but it just was a waste of time. And I'm just like, yeah.
I see. I don't. It depends on your approach, and I think now that I'm older, I speak to people slightly differently. I'm very direct, so sometimes it comes across a bit, rude. But if somebody says something that I truly don't believe in, or they're talking some crap about something that I belong to, then I don't have a problem calling them on that.
So
We,
did you
we had a
find?
guest we had a guest that said they were training people to fight Eric to beat him, and I was like, no, you weren't. And because that's true. Like, please.
Yeah.
Um, but I was on a podcast once where somebody had mentioned that they were fighting like the Dog Brothers before the Dog Brothers existed. And well, sorry, he said that on another podcast, and then I called him on it. I said, I heard you saying that. Can you show me examples or do you have proof of it? It's like, oh, I never said that. It's like, yeah, you did. And again, I was being a bit of a dick, but because
Mm,
I also felt that the guy needed to, be humbled a little bit. Not my job, but that was just the current mood that I was in.
I believe.
Um, yeah, it was, but the same thing, like you said, it. When I started teaching seminars, at first that would really bother me, and then it got to the point where I would say, "How about if you let me show what I want to show, and when we take a break, you can show me what you want and how relevant it is to what we're doing."
So you're more to like me. I tend to be more like, well, I am nicer. I mean, we've already
Yeah.
established that. So I tend to be try to like just navigate there, let it there, and kind of there where I don't get obnoxious. I don't get upset. But in my back of my mind, I'm just thinking like, man, like, why don't you just let me just show everything first, and then at the end we can have a conversation. And of course, at the end, what does he do? He just goes. So it's just like there was no validity to whatever he was doing.
Um, Last time I was in Spain, I was showing a like a tie kick on an entry for a stick entry, and using my throwing a roundhouse in. And there's a guy that just was always interrupting me. I would use like a little snap kick or a little teep or whatever, and I'm like, yeah,
I
you could, but it's not going to work the way it's supposed to work.
just see you, man. Like, I would be,
And he kept doing it and doing it, and this is after like almost like 10 minutes of like I go to something else, and he's like, well, I just don't see this working.
oh my god.
So I said, okay, you try it on me, and then I try it on you. So he went in to kick, and I just my elbow was down. He kind of like he kicked me, like it didn't feel nice. But then when I tie kicked him, like it was a tie kick, and I go, "Do you get it?" And he's like, "Yeah, I get it." I'm like, "Cool." And then I wasn't like going to kick him out or anything,
Yeah.
but or I was at a training camp once where two guys were doing like we were doing. It was like basic ones and twos just to work on entries, and like I look over and they're rolling on the ground. And I go, what are you guys working on? It's like, well, you show me this entry and this is how you do it. I'm like, that's great. Why don't you guys go train over there by yourselves and let us work on this material? And then afterwards we can, discuss it, whatever. And like they were embarrassed, but it's like,
Yeah.
fuck, man.
Yeah.
Like after a while,
I
eh,
had that happen one time. I'm like, and so I kind of put it in a joking way because, again, my personality type. I'm just so I go, hey guys, I'm not sure what you're doing, but I definitely know that's not what I showed. You know what I mean? And but try to like re-engage them. You know what I mean? But with you, I can just see that. Hey guys, why don't you go friggin' a half mile?
well, and I remind people that they paid for me to be there.
Yeah.
It's like when you go to a Guru Dan seminar and other people are teaching the same thing Guru Dan's teaching to a smaller group. It's like it's a seminar within a seminar.
No, I can tell you what. I've been there with that. Not Dan, but Larry Hart's, but Aaron Richard Castillo. You have certain ones they have to showcase where they are in the food chain. So they're going to assert themselves, relevance, etc., yada yada, etc. So I've definitely seen that occur. Like, yeah, within the big seminar, you'll have these guys who are upper tier, generally speaking, um, and they just feel they have to go in there and without being asked, mind you. You know what I mean? You know.
it's different if someone says, "How would you do this?" or if you're posing a question to a
Yeah,
class, which you have done. It's like, how would you do this?" or "What would you guys do in this situation?"
right, right. Yeah, it's
Nothing wrong with that. But if
not.
it's not
It's just what we're doing.
invited, then
It's not wrong. It's just not what we're doing. Yeah. That is that is so common. Or no, no, no. Okay, but we do it like this. I mean, like I've heard, or I've heard that before. But
yeah. But
that's funny.
again, here's where it's like, okay, that's how you do it. But you paid to come here to learn something new. So
Is that like think about that? Like they're paying you. So while like emptying their cup, just listening to what you do, take what's value, they can work when they get done, yada yada, whatever they want to digest or they like or whatever resonate with them. But instead, they're gonna put their stuff in there instead of like listening to you, like what they could get from you.
this happened like when I first started doing seminars, so quite a long time ago. I was at a I was at a club, and it was the same thing. It was just a bunch of guys who wanted to do what they wanted to do. And at one point, I grabbed my coffee and I walked over to a bench and I just sat there and I was just drinking my coffee. And I was there for like maybe 25 minutes. And then like the guy who organized it's like, what are you doing? And I was like, doesn't mean like it looks like you guys don't want to like do anything. So I just don't want to waste my time. And it worked, you know. So um, you know, I guess the subtlety of being ignorant with people sometimes works, but um I don't know, man. Like, if I don't want to train, or if there's something that's beyond my capacity to understand, or if I'm just tired because of an injury or whatever, which I did at your seminar, I'm not being disrespectful. I literally just go and sit down and not bother anybody until I'm ready to go back in.
Yeah, yeah, right. So you're being a distraction. Just remove yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, right. That's the way to do it. I mean, but getting back, so folks, hey, if there's anything you have to ask us or anything you want us to speak on, please put in there. Just kind of just an open. We really didn't have a plan for tonight. There are a couple things I wanted to talk about, Renee. One thing I want to get back to, like, what do you? I know we. It was a good digression, mind you. But like, how do you think? Not so much on the cosplay aspect, but those. And I've mentioned this before, but maybe it fell on deaf ears. Like what I was talking about before, organizations that run a really clean organization, their reps don't act like jerks. There's accountability and all that. For the ones who are not doing that, like, would you just call them out, or would you? I mean, what would you do?
Um, so again, because I've been laid out at home for about 2 weeks plus, um, that's given me a lot of time to go online. And the word fantasy has come up in a lot of my comments. Um, I have no problem if you say this is a drill and this is cosplay or whatever you want to call it. But I have a problem when they start showing stuff and saying this is combat and I'm a warrior and this is how you take someone out, and it's like, oh, we've had some badass warriors on the show, you know, like Adam, like that dude's that guy's as
Doing
serious
some
as it comes.
real stuff, right?
That's the real deal.
Mm.
So it just, there's something that really irks me about it, and I know what it is. It's just like, I know some of these people, and I know what they're saying is fantasy,
I know
but
it really does bother you. I know
and
it
and
does.
they're doing it because they need the views. They want to make they want to make the
Mm.
money, and then it's like, oh, I'm teaching seminars all over the world, and it's like, well, I heard you've been calling all these people all over the world and saying, hey, can I come over there? Right? To me, that's a big difference as well, right? Um,
Fame and
but
fortune. Right?
it's, or people that talk about, I won this trophy at that tournament, and they videotape everything except for their bowel movements, but that video doesn't come up. Never seen, right?
Mhm.
So it's like, I don't know. I'm trying to choose my words wisely, because I'm trying not to. be too judgmental, but it's very, very hard. It's hard
Is
for me
it?
to watch that,
It's
and
a
and
hard line. Yeah.
it's even harder for me to it's even harder for me to like sit there and watch that when they start calling themselves like warriors and fighters, and I do this and I do that, and this is how you win wars, and like, or people who are training and they got a.
Dave Maynard.
One of the things that really kills me is when I see
Hey, Rich.
people with excessive weaponry on them. Like if you're doing knife stuff or whatever, that's cool. If you're teaching people and you got a blue gun, but when you got an airsoft gun and you're like, that kind of stuff just drives me like it drives me batty.
No,
Like the
yeah,
number of people.
multiple where you got ring. Yeah, yeah, no, no. What? Yeah, I know. I know that stuff. Just what about guy? Here's something interesting too. Guys telling you like, I want you to do this and on that. And again, it doesn't matter what weapon it is. Like I
Mhm.
always find that interesting. You know what I mean? And and the thing is, I want to be both sides of the coin. It could be a good thing, man. I mean, what they're telling you should try, you should do, could be a really good thing. Or sometimes maybe it's not a good thing, depending on your experience and what you've seen before and there. But overall, I'm always reluctant to go on there and tell people what you should or shouldn't do, whether it's good or not. That could just be me. Maybe that's just my own hang up, and maybe what they're doing is actually okay. Yeah, you know. Mm.
As long as the description is as honest about what you're doing and the reality of martial arts, I think maybe that's a good way for me to look at it. Like that's the way I have to equate to it. It's like it's yeah, it's a huge pet peeve. But
And again, and sometimes what they're suggesting, I don't think it's bad.
mhm.
Like I've seen something like I don't know, but I've seen where it's heard like, oh, it's not bad, maybe them, not I mean, but overall, not all bad. But I guess it's just like I think it comes down to personality type. Like my personality type is I'm not going to go and put a big hey guys, I want to show you something that I think you should incorporate, you should do. Like that's not I'm not that guy. I'm not. You're never going to see Dean Franco do that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So it could be just my hang up when I see that, as opposed to maybe it's just not. Maybe it's nothing worth.
Well, I think you are truly a very nice person, but you've also put the time in where, like I said, when you first were showing some of the stuff that you're showing, in the back of my head, I'm like, all right, I like Dean, so I'm gonna be nice. And then when you came here and you did it to me, and I was like, oh shit, this works. That was very different, right? And you at no point did you sit there and go, hmm,
Yeah, or did I tell you beforehand? Renee, I really need to do this before I come up.
yeah.
Renee, you should be doing this. You know what I mean? It's yeah.
And and again, it's changed the way I move, especially with the blade. Like that time I sent you that video when I was just moving around with it. I was just having fun with it, but it was a lot of the concepts that I learned from you.
I
My
told
favorite
you.
comments on night videos like, "Well, if I had my gun, you wouldn't be doing that to me, boy."
Just
It's
shoot him.
like,
I would just shoot him.
yeah,
Okay, so he's in the act of attacking you. You don't have this on, and you've never practiced throwing under pressure. You're just going to shoot
yeah. He's 3 feet away, and you just cut out both your eyes.
him. Okay, I mean you can't argue with those people. That's one thing I tell you. One thing I just learned: do not go on there and push your agenda or how you feel, because you're going to be arguing with people that you're probably never going to meet. You don't even know you don't even know if they're real or who they are. They're probably on halfway across the world. It's just such a waste of time. And then you got to go back and check what they if they commented. And telling I can't be doing that.
The thing too, what I found lately too, especially with this clickbait culture that's happening in martial arts, is the amount of people that are calling each other out or calling other arts out, and just for views and likes. Like to me, that drives me bananas as well.
In other words, you're weaponizing the platform to basically target others to enhance how your lens and views and all that. Like that to me,
And then what
I'm not
happens
saying.
is, and especially in the JKD world, I found this out. And before you say anything bad about JKD or me saying something bad about JKD, it's an art that I took for over 20 years.
No, no, no.
Um, I'm just saying, general public wise, a lot of the feuds that were happening were not fought by the teachers; they were fought by the students who just started that thought, "I got to take up the mantle
Oh,
from
I
this
gotta
guy."
take his side. I wasn't there. I don't know anything about it, but I tell
Yeah.
you, I saw that with Seak Atienza, early 2000s, and with PTK Leo Gaye, and that's when I actually left FMA for a while because I'm like, you mean I can't wear? I gotta be careful what shirt I'm wearing, and I need to take a side. I'm like, yeah, this
Well,
is
I think Leo at one point he wanted to start a group called the Dog Eaters, and he was talking about going after Dog Brothers, and then somebody had to remind them that most of the Dog Brothers at the time were PTK guys.
how you in.
It's like, and of course, saying something about Leo, it's like, oh man, you're that's another ball of wax. That's when I was just merely stating something one day in a discussion with I thought was grown men. Next thing you know, I'm getting death threats, like legit death threats from people because they're like, you can't talk about anybody else. And my response was like fuck you, I'll talk about whoever I want. um but then again, I was younger. This is like 3 or 4 years ago.
I tell you,
um
man, it's tough. Like, well, me and you were talking about this a couple of weeks ago. The volume was coming in FMA discussion. And there are things I'm looking at. I'm just like from a more, and I more look at stuff from knife, like stick. I don't really don't have a dog in the fight. You know what I mean? But I really pay attention to the knife stuff coming in, and some of it, I'm just like, I mean, like it comes down to close to ethics, like what these people are demonstrating and teaching. But
some
again, I
people
just don't
some
say
people
that.
are lucky they're using trainers, because if you look at the amount of times that they pass their own arms or vitals, it's
Mm,
pretty crazy. It kind of remind me of that. I forgot what that documentary
yeah,
was,
yeah, I mean,
where the guy was like, "I'm gonna channel the spirit of Lapu Lapu," and he's like spitting rum all over the place, and he cuts his arm open with a barong. And I was like, that to me is pretty much martial arts right now in a nutshell.
I know I know, and the thing is, they're not breaking the rules. So I have, if they're not breaking the rules, I put it in there, and but I'm not. I don't say anything. It's not. Nobody. I mean, when you start policing a community like that, I think you lose. I think you lose.
Well, I think history is selective there, and there's a lot of feelings about having a champion. But if you actually read some of the actual accounts of that battle, it wasn't as glorious as people think. And when they find out how he died, um, it wasn't as glorious either, right?
No, I guess yeah. I mean, I don't. Had a few people on here who dove deep into that. I mean, really reputable guys who've really done the time and the research. I've had on here after my discussion, all that. Who, I mean, you know, really credible folks, and they definitely had a different lens on what is going out there as far as what people perceive that. And
Well, and again, a lot of this is regurgitated bullshit. And, like your teacher, your instructor tells you, uh, you know, this person was the best fighter in the world and he
mm,
killed 7,000 people. And
yeah.
then the next generation of people, he was unbeatable. He killed 12,000 people. He shot lightning bolts from his eyes. It's just like it gets embellished and embellished and embellished because no one checks it out. No
And then
one.
it gets told to another person who tells another person,
It's, oh yeah,
and
it's telephone. It's absolute
before
telephone.
you know,
Honestly, I think that's what happens. That's happening with a lot of stuff. Like even when I was taking Jeet Kune Do, and like when I was in my class, or and I wouldn't say this happened so much in Guru Dan's class, but what I notice is when they were talking about boxing or Thai boxing, structure was decent, but it wasn't until I learned how to box and Thai box
mm,
that I realized the holes in the game that I had before, or the fact that and again, teachers back when I was training, they say if you ever go train with that guy, you're gone. And I'd be like, "Well, you want your T-shirt back?" You know.
Yeah, yeah. Brian, I agree with you. Yeah, people. Yeah, right. I mean, those who know and they realize it, they see, and yeah.
Well,
But
listen, I bought into the cult for a while. I was really um, like I was doing the Inasano blend. Then when I got into Bikini, it was like that's it. And then I was like, at one point, I was like, this is not what it says on the back of my shirt. I should be exploring all these different systems. So I started going to check out different systems or seminars, right?
yeah,
Like I did grappling seminars where I had to borrow a gi to show up just because I didn't have one and didn't realize how my feet would get torn up from the mats.
yeah, yeah,
But
man.
I think that's what kept martial arts fresh for me. And at the time, it stopped the uh, well, I think that's what kind of started curbing my politicking a little bit, right? Because I was not really in anybody's class anymore. I was just kind of doing my own thing.
That's why I created Blade Tech, really. Or I should. I mean, it's been created for a long time. I should rephrase that, saying that's why I put it out there, just because what I was seeing out there, I'm like, hey, let me offer this, and maybe people will see the, maybe they'll appreciate this. And problem is, they just don't push it.
Well,
Mm,
you're a breath of fresh air in a stuffy room because it's before it was like everybody's knife fighting system is the best, right?
yeah,
And then you're not saying it's the best,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
I've pressured I've put myself in really high pressure situations to make sure it works. And a lot of people won't do that. It's like
Mhm.
again going back to these clickbait or cosplay videos is when people like this is how you disarm a knife, and it's like that's how you lose all your fingers.
Yeah. Or that's how you felt miserably.
Yeah, and I just these high production videos. I kind of like the fact that we're low tech.
That's the thing too. I mean, the whole thing with this AI and the technology, and if you're really good, or you have somebody in your camp that's really good, I can tell you. Um, Now, I'm not good at either. I'm not good at any of what I just mentioned. However, though, I think I have a really good eye for knowing that whether it was a full committed knife attack or upon contact, the guy just stopped recycling. I mean, there's things to look for. But I tell you, man, I think some guys are really disguising it really well. You know what I mean? With angles and this and that, things that I just
It's
completely
like when you
never
see
thought.
people doing like I'll go from my perspective, like when it looks like goes to like stick fights or or realistic
And like,
training drills when they'll do a swing and they stop at the person's stick, and if the person's fast enough they can make it look like they picked it
well, here's
off.
the
And
thing. I think we have some parallel here. It drives me nuts. I don't say anything. I try to just really keep that calm demeanor and what I'm known for. Try to stay consistent, so I don't say anything. But what I'm seeing in a knife, man, it must drive you nuts. What you're seeing in the stick world, man. Like what they think they're going to, I mean, I guess if they're honest, say, hey, look, no, we're just doing the art. And I think that's fine. Like if they're honest, they're just saying they're doing the art and drills and they're transparent like that. I think that's great. But when they say, like, I've had one guy, I saw one guy in Martyr Nice. I swear to God, they were doing single Sinawali, and under somewhere in the verbiage or descriptive was, uh, you know, stick fighting. You know?
there was a really famous or a very common saying back in the day when I was going to different like JKD clubs. It's like, we're not here to fight Mike Tyson. We're here to fight Mike Tyson if he's on PCP. And I was like, you'd fucking die. Like, and they're doing these like parry boxing drills. Look at some of the combos that guy threw when he was younger, even when he was older. You're not doing a parry like you think you are.
Yeah.
You
First of all,
know,
what do you like when he gets off your line? What are you parrying? You
you're
better be
you're
skilled,
you're
man, at that point.
you have to go like this to hold your teeth, right? Like it was. And I think that's the part of it too that bothers me is like this is how you parry a punch and walk in and take a guy out. It's like You haven't done anything. You just put your hand up.
Yeah.
It's like, I really enjoy doing hubat. I really really do. But I really like it when it's super aggressive and really trying to wrench in. And if you don't cut that line, it punches you in the face. To me, it's a really cool drill to do. I just really really enjoy it. And luckily, I've had the opportunity when I was doing seminars and when I was going abroad as well that I train with a lot of different people and doing that. But when I
I've
see,
been revisiting that ever since you mentioned that. Whenever you first mentioned that, which was some time ago, I had been revisiting that in level three. I put it in level three blade tech because I was finding, oh, okay, arm drag, like, and you're right. I think there is because I was so when I created, I was so, and dare I say this, and folks, just hear me out and don't attack. I was so anti-drill because
Mhm.
I saw no attribute development. I'm like, in there, but I've not full circle, maybe quarter circle. I think there's some like you mentioned that can be put attribute development into it, and now you got something, right?
Yeah, if you're doing a rumble and just like in there and really really putting pressure, not trying to occupy the other person's center line, trying to sweep them to punch them and kick them, um, it turns into a different animal, which I think develops different attributes.
No, I told you. We got a question. How real is Balintawak? Ooh. I'll go first if you don't want to. So I'm not a Balint. Okay, first I want to be completely transparent here, Jim. I'm not a Balintawak player. I've done enough interviews with the guys. I can tell you what Bobby Tabata said in the interview that he's not trying to build fighters, more speed, attribute development, recognition. Um, this come from the man himself. So outside of that, I've never done the art, so I'm not the guy to ask, like how real it is. The only thing I could say, I had somebody also had on the show. I'm not going to say his name because I didn't get permission from him. His thing was, well, how did they end up there? Do they mutually agree to start out there? Like, did that happen back in the day over there? And so, but that's all I can say on it. I'm not, unfortunately, I'm not trying to not answer your question. It just wouldn't be fair for me to expand on
It's funny if you say it's a dueling art, then I can see a bit more of it.
it. It is not.
Um, but and again, I've never done it. I'm just using my experience from what I see, and maybe I should experience it closer up.
Mm.
Um, it's the pauses in between that make me question certain things.
When they hear in that immediate
It's like
freeze.
bang,
Yeah. Okay.
bang,
Okay. Yeah.
right? So there's things that I see that are cool, like some of the stop hits. I wish that flow would be a bit more intense for me to understand it better.
You know what I'll say, Jim? Though, and also to you, Renee. I do like the offhand activity. Like I think there's something there with that. Like I'm more intrigued with the offhand activity than I am what they do with a stick. To be honest, Jim.
Hmm.
If there was any, in other words, if I were to explore Balintawak, I would be going in not for rank or anything like that. It would be how could that improve the other stuff I'm doing if it could. So my interest or what I from the outside looking in is their offhand use.
Yeah, but I agree with you. Like that's not the pocket that I was staying for that long. It just to me, it's
Thank you.
way too dangerous. If I equate that to either a
Oh yeah,
knife
because what happens, man. You're getting clinched up, attempted takedown. I mean, like you, yeah, yeah.
and again, not again, just going back to our basement scenario, when we clinched up and I saw the opportunity for a headbutt, I threw the headbutt just because I didn't want to be there, right?
I was, I'm been just emotionally getting over that. Now you brought it up again.
um. So and again, like I think did I send you that video of that those two French cops being attacked?
I'm sorry. Go ahead. What was that
The
again?
did I send you that video of those two French cops being attacked by a crazy person?
No, you did not.
So they run behind the guy. There's two cops walking. The guy runs up, grabs the guy by the by the body armor, and just starts driving a knife into his like ribs. Just boom, 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 boom. The other cop looks at him like, "What's going on?" By the time the second cop managed to get his firearm out or his taser, whatever he had, the first cop dropped, and the guy who was attacking went off at an angle. So it was like it was total ambush. But I look at that as like, even in fights where guys come in one, two, three, four, and bounce back out. It's
Mm,
from it's not like the ego bar fights where I would see where it's rock'em sock'em. It's like see who can have more teeth knocked out. Um, some of the more nastier fights that I saw were people who definitely knew the range, right?
yeah, yeah. Wow, wow, wow. We got a comment from her. So this might help too, Jim. And you're probably saying this. Someone correct me. I've been told from a credible source that the politically wise don't spar. I've heard similar, Mike. Yep. I know Guru Nines. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Guys spar. Okay. Well, that's. So is that the Attillo, Mike? Is that the Attillo faction? Um, I'm not familiar with the gentleman you just mentioned.
You know who'd be good for that is Belton because
Belton,
he's
I
a
believe he is under Bobby Tuata, which has a seven like level six after six. Then you go for seven. You have to put like 20 or something techniques in there. 24. Um, but yeah, I believe I'm pretty confident he's under Jam
I
Bobby.
think the hardest thing is, and it's happened to me as well.
Okay.
Like I've had instructors who, in the beginning when I first met them, were just badass instructors, or maybe they weren't. Maybe I just didn't realize it till later. Then that it was harder for me to be honest about what I thought about them. Right?
Mm,
I've seen it's like when guys are they were using like a sarong or something
that's wrong.
to disarm a gun or a knife, and
No, it's a whole nother thing. This sea lot stuff. Oh my god, I know. Well, here let's. We got it. Let's. So I always was outside looking in on sea lot because what I was seeing and being in that clinch dynamic, and I'm like, sorry that I don't see that happening based on my experiences going against wrestlers and all that until I talked to Bert, and I'm so glad I did it. But a lot what you're saying, when you're starting to see this some wrong material and what they think, um, yeah. You know what Bert's first wrong technique was to me? Do you know what he was? Do you know what he said? And I'm talking to him. I said, yeah, like because he's starting to get me on. He's starting to mess wrong now. And he goes, yeah, I want to go ask this guy, and he goes, I say, hey, could you show me a sarong? This bird talking to this elderly Indonesian who was a reputable, you know, Silat player. Um, and the guy takes his sarong, puts a rock into it. That's your like, totally at 100%. Yep.
it's funny because uh, a Steven Seagal movie came out when he put a cue ball in a sock.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. After that movie came out, I saw a few people get socked like that,
Yeah. If they put
and
a,
I was
if they
like,
really put a rock in
but
there, it
yeah,
just
but there's no sock curriculum out there anywhere. At least I haven't seen one.
sock.
Yeah, like an actual sock. Like take
Yeah,
like
yeah,
got
no,
people.
no. I was at Tiendas. We had rock and sock.
Yeah,
Yeah,
rock'em
no,
sock'em, right?
seriously. Yeah, and then it went to Trapo, which they then went a bandana to a ball. But originally, it was rock and sock. Yeah, so, it was pretty neat.
Yeah,
So,
it's weird when you, even like if you look at some like the Venezuelan prison fights where they use like phone books and knives. It's
or they're going to
just
bed and they got all the foam. Like, yeah, imagine that, man. I can't even wrap my mind around that, man.
Yeah, my dad spent 2 weeks in a Venezuelan prison once. It was not he came out looking like a skeleton. Yeah.
Protagonist. Yeah, I heard that they have to bring material from our 24 moves. Or don't quote me on that. It's been a while since I interviewed Bobby, but Jim Bobby. Sorry. But yeah, yeah, folks. Any other questions? Come on, we got answer. Ask us anything, and we'll talk about it. Thank you for the question, though, Jim. On that, thank you on the blunt lock. The old, yeah, the battery, right? Rock battery, rock and yeah, no,
Oh,
absolutely.
padlocks on chains, like
Oh,
back in the old punk rock days. Bicycle chains, motorcycle chains, padlocks and chains, chains. Period. But it was like literally a mace that will cave your head in. Um, Bike locks, like the U box, those were pretty popular.
those
Um,
freaking man. But
it's anything that could look like you're wearing it for fashion that you did not.
that could be right. That you could argue that was part of your apparel, right?
Yeah, fish hooks in the lapels, all that stuff was pretty crazy.
What do you got? So I know you got some stuff going on. Um, you know, what are you doing anything martially speaking? Uh,
No, so without getting into too much of crazy detail, but I did have a head-on collision with a car a couple of weeks ago. So I have a concussion, a pretty bad one, and as of right now, I've been told that I can't do anything, and so we'll see what the next few months bring. So I'm
so
getting
when I
tested.
come up in September,
Hmm. Now's the perfect time.
we hey Renee, can we just go over that scenario when I'm against the wall and just
Dude, it's crazy. It's like if I lift something heavy up, it feels like my brain fills up with water.
oh man.
So yeah, it might. I don't know. It might be the end of my training career. So we're not sure.
Let's hope not. I mean, hopefully there's stuff you can do that just maybe is just.
Tai Chi, maybe.
I mean, you're you're surrounded. Eric, I didn't want to let that out quite yet, but there is material that is coming out in this arena, Eric. Okay.
What about
Brian's asking, is your neck okay?
It hurts. It hurts. I got a bit of whiplash. I got a broken arm.
So, and well,
Oh, and I broke my nose again, which is it actually looks straighter. I think
it's straightened out. Yeah.
a little bit. Yeah.
See, mine has not. See, when I got it broken, there's still. I never got it fixed. So there's. You can actually see there's still like a. So maybe one of these days you could re-break it for me, and then I can,
Yeah. I just gonna need a padlock and a chain.
Ooh, here's a goodie. Oh, so actually, I should be able to bring a padlock. I can bring a padlock up. What if I just gave you a padlock and a sock,
Yeah. Yeah. Why
and
not?
I'll just be like here, and you could just do horizontal shots and just see
Yeah.
if you're.
I've been low on socks on my birthdays lately
I'll
and
bring a
Christmas.
sock.
I haven't been getting anything.
I'll bring a sock. I got you covered. Okay. Here's a good one: PTK versus KI. I'll take the
Mm.
KI track. You take the PTK track.
I'll,
Okay.
I'll say this. So I've done a little bit of KI, but nothing that I would consider myself um, a what's it called, an expert on. Like some of the drifting leg stuff is pretty awesome. Um, Footwork, um, I like. I think what's wrong with PTK, and again, not an expert, just my opinion, is the number of groups that have started and the insane amount of infighting and other stuff that's gone on. One day this person's the leader, the next day you've been made Grand Three Han or whatever it is now.
You are now the heir. Oh,
And it
that
used to
was a good
be, when Philip was training, it was like took 20 years to become two Han. I've seen people do it in three,
funny. Yeah, Sayok
and
adapted that. Matter of fact.
it's all about money. And I think a lot of people just are not being taught properly because you see the difference in drills. Like if you go to a Thai school in Toronto and one in Montreal, a tie kick's a tie kick, right? Some of the drills that I've seen, they're not that anymore. They're just very, very different. You and there's a difference, like a noticeable difference. Sometimes, yeah, it's instructor flavor, but they're definitely. I think the politics in that group and what looks like just marketing for money grabs, and everybody. Like, listen, I know everybody has to make a living. Um,
Yeah.
has I think watered it down, and I'll be
Um,
waiting for my death threat messages later on again
oh
today.
my God, you're gonna get blasted with them. But here's so I can give you Jim. I'll give you more on like KI, and I'll try to. I'm not a PTK expert, but just from having folks on and playing around with it, my training was more tri V oriented. So I'll just give you compare and contrast what I know without going down a rabbit hole what I don't know. Um, so KI is very blade oriented, sword oriented for the most part. And yes, like Renee stated, there's some pretty really neat footwork that's a little different. Some of the defensive movements, like Frile, Media Frile, I've not seen in other systems. I'm not saying that's true. I'm just saying up to present date, I have not seen other systems. Um, really governed by two, in my opinion, two concepts is Praxion and Ubagata, just doing enough to deal with the threat, but having opportunity, the opportunity finding the gaps, Praxion. Um, there. My issue with KI is when I see folks using sticks when it's a bladed art, I think you lose in essence on the defensive movements because you're not going to get friction in there. Definitely, it's not as obvious like you see PTK. It's out in front. The politics. KI is behind the scenes, kind of some passive aggressiveness in there. There is politics. I wouldn't say as bad as PTK. No, I'm not saying that, but they are there. Um,
Well, it's
I
not that
love it.
it's not that you're lying about it. It's out in public. So if anybody gets offended by this, then you're an idiot. Like it's not like well, we're not. It's not like we're making shit up.
No,
It's online every goddamn day.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I'm sorry. It's like if you're butthurt about it, like honestly, like fuck off.
Oh,
I don't
well, you heard Renee. Okay.
like seriously. Like it's like oh,
Yeah.
it's just the way it is. It's just I'm not saying I'm perfect or these others like and I know everything, but when you just constantly see this, it's like the division in modern Arnis. It's the same thing.
Which is some out in front, some behind the scenes, some a lot of passive aggressiveness going on there.
It's a small piece of pie that a lot of people want a big piece of,
Are they the
and
first? Both seem real. Both seem real with blades. Are they the first? I couldn't tell you on that, Jim. I just know the old man was sword centric for sure. Guy, hey, I don't. Somebody else, I'm sure, writing this could answer that better for you, as far as what is emphasized over there and what was first weapon taught. I know in the Tri V they work in the Marines, so there was a lot of the there's Bolo Talabong or whatever. Or no, not there. The what's the weapon for PTK? Oh my God,
the Gnunting.
Gununting. Yeah, there we go. Thank you. But different, definitely different. The one thing I will say, and again, I'm going to be very careful how I put this. I see whatever PTK does with every weapon. I see just kind of parallel across the board. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm saying what I've seen. Okay, so other people that have more experience, they could probably fill you in better. Whereas KI is very just sword centric. There is some knife. In my opinion, I know KI uses the stick sometimes, but it's more it's more because maybe they didn't have trainer swords around in there. But definitely
You
talk to
brought
some
up
people.
you brought up an interesting point though. When you have a blade art. or
Yeah,
a weapon specific art, and you don't use that weapon, it changes the art. It changes the effectiveness. Like I'll say
and
this, like
yeah,
um, when I see people's putting down, we're doing Piper sparring. Uh, I just kind of sit there and I'm like, that doesn't make sense to me. You know, like an ambush art, but now you're both
yeah,
being.
yeah. They're
And
doing,
again,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, even Lloyd. I mean, one of the things first Lloyd told me in my first lesson with him, this is not a dueling sparring art. You know what I mean? However, can there be some things you could take? Yeah, but overall, not a sparring dueling art. Yeah, yeah. So from the man
you know,
himself.
it's like you want to learn how to use a straw, but I use a wooden dowel. It just doesn't work, right?
Yeah,
It's just,
yeah. I agree with that on the KI because their defensive movements. Because with the stick, especially if it's a soft stick, you're not going to get that friction. I mean, you know what I mean. But now, like if I'm going to go do Australia, you know what I mean, where you need to fly the blade, or I mean, so there are. Yeah, I totally agree with you. Like if you're going to do sword art, man, I mean, like just invest in a training sword. You
yeah,
know.
yeah. I think
Yeah.
that's why a lot of my friends got into like HEMA and stuff like that because it was just, you know, they really got into the whole well, more realistic sword play, right? Where
Right,
you
because
can't,
there was no gray area.
yeah, you can't bash, you know, edge to edge or and stuff like that, right? It just doesn't
Mhm.
work.
Yeah, I mean, it just yeah. Hi there. Oh, Glenn is here. Glenn is OB. Um, Great. Thank you for the questions, Jim. Anybody else? Questions? Could be anything. Anything those on the political side. We'll give a crack at it. I mean, you know. In the meantime, so in a couple weeks, well, no, not a couple weeks. It is the 13th. Well, no. So actually, in a month,
Yeah.
I'll be coming up. So Penelope getting excited? I mean, does she know I'm coming? Or did you talk to her?
Sorry, I don't really know much of what's going on with the Denver. Like, oh, Penelope, yeah, yeah, she's been.
You know, she knows I'm coming. She's getting
I
excited.
just show her pictures of you, and then I photoshopped her, you know, like jumping and kissing you. So she's she's
I
really
have to
excited.
admit, I am looking forward to seeing that little creature. I have to admit. You know, I'll never forget it. Wake up in the morning, open the door. Hi.
So she does that. The night of my the night when I came home from the hospital, she just sat and stared at me, and I was like, "Pen, you know, like what do you want?" And she would just like lie down and sit back up. And she normally sleeps in either my kids' rooms or in our room, but I was in a separate room because you know I was yelping in pain every 30 seconds,
Yeah.
and she just did not leave. She wouldn't leave.
See, oh, man, so many events coming up. Yeah, there are. Yeah, that's true, Glenn.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff happening in Europe as well. Surf camps coming up.
Surf
Uh,
camp. That's in.
September the day after your last day, September 22nd.
Is that Sardinia or is that?
No, that's in Madrid. Sorry, in Bilbao.
So they move
So
it, or is that
no, the Sardinia camp is earlier in the year.
that? Oh, that's different. Okay.
Yeah,
Ooh,
yeah. I
yeah.
was.
From Jim. Jim's the only one asking questions, man. Does 50? Ooh, where did I go? Does 52 blocks have anything in common with 52 blocks? Um, I'm trying to remember what Ken told me on this, and it's a 50. He referenced 52 cards. There's some aspect of cards there, and I don't want to. Um, Jim, I don't want to give you misinformation, but if you were to reach out to Ken Shadow, he would.
Is that the dude that had the razor blade in his mouth?
Yes, talk to you. Yeah, yeah, definitely hit me up, Mike. We need to get you. Yeah, hit me up, and we can talk about stuff.
Hey, who's the Piper rep in Finland? Are those are those
You gotta be honest.
Nigel's guys? Yeah.
Yeah. Piper. Oh, to Piper. So what he's at does okay. Let's back up here. Okay. Um, yeah, there's some definitely some commonality. In other words, we have what we call as a major twirl, right? You know, in 52 blocks they have stack the deck, shuffle the deck, and a lot of times you'll kind of see that kind of hand movements and stuff like that. Kind of like this, and they'll go into covers and bowl, and stuff like that. So is definitely some commonality for sure. Yeah. Um, 52 blocks though was more designed as a defensive structure, against other inmates. Piper was basically predator hunting, ambush system. My understanding from Ken in 52 blocks, these guys weren't ambushing anybody; they were using it, to defend against other inmates. So that would be the difference there. But definitely some similar like movements. Absolutely.
Have you
Just
have you seen the documentary of the Numbers Gangs?
yeah. It's unbelievable.
It's
Um,
insane.
it's unbelievable. Yeah,
I have
and
I don't know if I mentioned this. I have a friend of mine who's
he
from
did.
South Africa who got robbed by a bunch of Numbers Gangs guys, and the stuff they did to him like was just horrendous. Like it was on a level of violence that and just intimidation that it was insane. Like they beat him up, they took his clothes, cut him up a couple times, peed on him, and then they were like discussing if they're going to kill him or not because they were not in a crowded like
No,
walkway.
I mean, Lloyd went to go seek out training, and he just happened to meet Nigel. But because Lloyd had gotten mugged a couple times, Lloyd had gotten robbed. I mean, so and Lloyd would tell me some of the stuff that goes down on there is, I mean, well, per capita, and I'm only telling you what's been shared with me, but per capita, they have the most murders, attacks, knife attacks, and what I mean, again, per capita, you know what I mean. So there's certain in the Cape Town flats, there's certain areas that are, yeah, it's terrible. You know what I mean?
Well, the a couple of guys in that documentary were talking about. Yeah, I think I killed around 200 people, but it was like nonchalant. Like, yeah, I think it's around 200 people.
Yeah, I know. I know. Yeah, yeah. I saw that. It was, yeah, definitely a whole different level of.
That's why I think people need an eye opener to like there are people out there who are capable of that violence, and your cosplay stuff that you're teaching people is actually opening up yourself to get killed.
Particularly when I'm seeing on the defensive end, and that's where I see the most alarming stuff. What people think they're going to be able to do defensively against attacks, assuming the person is it's a very direct committed attack, and the attack is continuing and not just stopping because there was contact made, right? So if it's an intentional, genuine attack, what I'm seeing defensively is pretty scary. Yeah, I'll leave that at that.
What about weapons? We do talk about knives and sticks and everything else. Like, you think people are missing the other weapons, whether it be
I do. Matter of fact,
firearms or
oh, firearms, yeah, for sure. And I am the worst person to talk about that case because I never shot a gun, and so I stay away from that. Like I'm nobody to teach, Um, but I just think weapons are legally defensible. Like in other words, one of the big things that we stress in WPM, yes, we give you the rudimentary, the basic, our methodology, our basic tactics. We show through the knife for reasons of power generation, but then we make a shift to weapons that are legally defensible. So now, as a default system, you have really good linear to rotational momentum. So when you put that blunt weapon in your hand, it's an automatic default system of power generation. But bigger point being is, if you are a knife instructor and you don't touch upon weapons that are legally defensible or aspects of diminishment, I don't think you're doing your students any favors.
I think if you were going to teach anything like that, where you're, you know, defending against a gun or disarming and all that, I think it's crucial for you to spend on some range time so you just know how that works mechanically and
Okay,
how
yeah, yeah.
dangerous that firearm is
Mm.
if you don't know how to use it properly and or know how to the on the wrong the wrong side of that barrel, right?
That's why I say, wait, like, I just refer to other people. Like, I'm not a gun guy, so I'm not the guy to go to. So, plenty of guys out there that do this stuff that are well versed, who train it. So I'm completely
Sorry,
different.
I don't mean to be eating, but my kids left a whole bunch of snacks on my desk. So,
I would be. Oh, no worries. I would be eating too. Anything good?
chips and a bagel.
Chips and a bagel. Wow. So, but
I have no idea how old that bagel is, but I had to eat it.
you had to. I just could not leave it there, just sitting.
Yeah, after the car accident, I haven't been picky on what I eat.
Well, that's. I mean, at least you got appetite. That's good, right? Folks, questions? Come on. Damn, I missed an hour already. It's all right. You're here, Henry. If you got a question, though, ask us. Um, Nobody's got any questions. I can't believe this. Anything, anything martially related. What did I miss? Oh, we're just. This is more just an open chat, Henry, on what we're seeing in the community. Our opinions on some certain things from a social media perspective. Um, Trends, organizations, how they should conduct themselves in their reps.
I
You
got
know,
one for you. What do you think is the next big art that's coming out? I know it was for a while it was FMA was pretty big, and then it went to
hmm,
CLATs, and then it went to Thai boxing, and then MMA. Like,
the
what do you
next
see as
big
the next?
flavor,
What do you think is the next big thing?
the
I'm
next.
actually surprised. I'll be honest with you. I'm surprised that Sambo didn't become as popular in North America.
I think BJJ just wiped it out. I think. I don't think it has nothing to do with the quality of Sambo or how good or bad it is. I think just BJJ. I just think it just wiped it out because what was seen? What was the first grappling art seen in UFC? BJJ. I just think it was hard. I think it was hard to compete and catch up with them. So I mean that's
And
my
also,
opinion.
if you look at Sambo, it's not one of those things where you sit there and go, "That looks pleasant."
Yeah, too tough for Americans, and that could be as well. I mean, right? Are you planning to do what we got here? Can you? Wait, man! Now I think questions are coming in. All right, let me. Oh, they are. Let me just. What events are coming up? There's quite a few. Is there? Okay, here Henry's asking. Is what's all going? Who's all going to the Open Tribal in September? There's one. Anybody? Not sure on that. Can you give your guest name and style? Can you give your guest name and style? What we each train in. So what? So what do you? I think that's what Jim is asking. So go ahead.
What's the question?
Name and style that you train in or have trained in. I think is what he's asking. If
Uh,
not, please correct me, Jim.
for me, I was, when I first started my stick fighting career, I was doing PTK and I was doing the Sano stuff. But then when I started kind of like hooking up with Arlen, that's when I really kind of fell in love with Kirby Kabong.
Okay.
And boxing and Thai boxing for me is the big thing. I started doing some jujitsu just to kind of learn how to get back up because I don't like being on the ground. Just never
Right.
did. Um, but and that's the other thing too is I always tell people like I'm not a style fighter or I wasn't a style fighter. When I went to fight, I wasn't doing FMA only or Krabi Kabong or PTK or like that. I was a guy in a fight that had a stick in his hand,
Mm,
and I wasn't I wasn't going to correct myself if my stance wasn't right. Like I've seen people do that, where it's like, "Hey, you want to have a Krabi fight?" I'm like, "No, I want to have a fight," and like it's not going to be any particular style.
yeah.
So, and there's people that I know that are full dogs now that didn't really train in FMA and other arts. They just went out there because they
They
wanted to
just
roll.
they just went out there to right. Yeah.
And I think that's for me. That's more, as Kalani would say. You know, it's this is your art, and this is you have to figure out how you're going to interpret it your way. Uh,
Mm,
I think it's important that you have some training,
yeah.
but I don't think that's the focus of the combat part. Like you need to figure out what works for you and do it, and come back every time from a gathering and be honest with yourself on how the lab was when you were there.
No,
You know, like
no.
if it's listen, I've seen a few guys that went to a gathering and they tap sticks, they drop the stick, and it gets into a wrestling match, right?
Yeah. Um,
And that works for people who maybe don't wrestle, but when you have people who are black belts who know how to rumble, that changes. Like even like Thomas, like he's a BJJ black belt, but he also does like BJJ with striking, like for the rolling, and they're not what's the word I'm looking for? They're not gentle about it. Like they really, hey,
mm,
it's you want to put me on an arm bar. How's that elbow feel?
yeah. And incidentally,
So I don't know
um,
if that answers your question, but
yeah.
um, I like Kirby Kerbalm because it incorporated more kicking, punching, and elbowing than Pikiti did, or
Okay.
kneeing. One thing that I learned from the Scottish guys was they like the headbutt. So I incorporated that because I found that it worked really well. Uh, Getting your bell rung when you're not wearing a mask, and they are, uh, doesn't feel too good.
Um, Tim, first the seminar in Toronto. If you got if you got a training, if you got a tactical flashlight, great. And any training knife, Tim will do. That's all you're gonna need, buddy. Uh, I got it back up here. So Brian, yeah. So doing one. So what's going to happen, Brian? I'm doing one with Jaime. As you know, the one there that's going to be August 30th. After that, pending the interest, may be doing some on certain specific areas. So definitely a possibility, Brian. To answer Jim's question, it's Jim, I don't have a website. I do have an IG account, Western Piper, that Nick just actually made, but no website.
What about your OnlyFans? Don't you have? Oh, no one's supposed to know about that.
I
Never mind.
yeah, that's very first select view, and that's you got to pay to get in, and so yeah, I'm not sure Jim would be interested in
50 cents a week ain't bad, guys.
that. Listen, I cannot find enough. Yeah, but
And that's 50 cents US, just in case some Canadians are watching.
yeah, yeah. Let's get that out of the way. Um, yeah. So, guys, any other questions? Questions? Sweatpants. Brian, that goes without saying. I mean, Brian. Matter of fact, what you have to do, Brian. I mean, we could touch upon this, Brian. There is a fee to get into that only site that Renee just mentioned. You have to submit a photo. I need to see you with gray sweatpants. I don't care what else you have on or that. I need to see the gray sweatpants. So.
Every Wednesday, he posts a new picture of a pair of chaps that he made with a pair of gray sweatpants.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
actually
trust me, folks. The pictures been coming out well. Sometimes it's brown chaps, sometimes it's black, but the sweatpants will always be gray.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a great way to lose weight
Yeah.
because it took me a while to eat after I saw it.
Let me see here. I missed the start. So both teaching. Yes, I'm teach. So Jim, I'm teaching a WPM Piper seminar August 30th online. Um, if you're interested in more information, by all means, just you can send me a message on Facebook Messenger, and I can give you more information if interested. Okay, what we got here? Got to run. Okay, Tim, thank you for dropping by. I prefer a style that has two moves, doesn't overkill, or mixed arts. Hey, Glenn, it's been a while. I hope everything's well.
Yeah,
Um,
my eyes are getting a bit squirrely from the screen, so I might
no,
have
no,
to
no. We can, yeah,
hop off soon.
we're close to an hour and a half. We can cut out. Man. Let me just see. All right, anyone? Anyone watch UFC Jiu-Jitsu with a mat shaped like a bowl? Any interest?
It looks
Anyone?
interesting. I think now that Paramount's is going to be streaming all the fights, it's going to make it easier for a lot of people to watch.
Hmm. Anyone see the most recent videos of Payete stick fights? No protection. Have not. Have not seen those. No. I guess, but they're still using padded sticks. Am I correct, Henry? But I have not seen them. So awesome. Good luck. I don't want to. I know you got. Yeah. I don't want. I'm just so glad you're able to make it tonight. But I know. I don't want to certainly put your eyes under any duress. So.
Yeah, it's the whole concussion thing. After a
Yeah.
while,
Yeah.
the eyes start to hurt.
We'll cut it out right now, man. So I'll close
I'm out of
out.
here.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for stopping by, Renee. It's really good to talk to you.
All right. Listen,
uh,
guys, it's been nice to
Great
come
seeing
back
you.
out. We'll
Okay.
start getting some guests back on.
Yes, yeah. Send me a message, Jim. I can give you more specifics. What I'm going to be covering in intro. There is some footwork, yeah, but again, not
Sounds
a
good.
dueling sparring art. So awesome.
All right. I'm
All right,
out.
all right. Take care, man. We'll be in touch.
All right.
All right, bye. Okay. Yeah, Renee. Lucky to have him back, but after a while, yeah, his eyes they do tend to bother him. I mean, this was my bad. Oh, jeez. All right, Glenn. It was a good. Yeah, just send me a message, Jim. I can kind of go more detailed and give you more specific answers. That's yeah, posing like Sealat. All right, guys. All right, who's on next week? Actually, I got a few folks back to FMA discussion. Jackie, I gotta get her back on. Her and her husband run a school, mine and her niece. I'm supposed to hear from Rocky, so more mine and her niece centric. Far as Marsha Man, John Coos' daughter, Lexi, we're gonna get her on. Darcy, guy who lives in the woods, we're gonna get him on. And Steve Grody, part two. Anybody knows that I'm a huge fan of Steve Brody. So actually, I'll be seeing him in hopefully soon. But anyway, guys, yeah. So take care. As always, we'll always FMA discussion always will be featured. You'll see the flyers posted, so you guys will know what's coming and when it's coming. All right. For those who jumped in, thank you, and I will see you next week, maybe sooner over the weekend.